Hello, everybody. It is January 3rd, 2024. I was going to wait until next week to have a new video come out because the new city council session will start on Monday at 7 p.m., which I'm really thinking about going to. We'll see what happens. I don't want to spoil it for everybody and them expecting me to be there, then I don't show up, or vice versa. But 3 days into the new year, and there's already fireworks going on, just as I had expected it to be. So let's get into it. January 1st at 11 a.m., the city councilors and Joe Hogsett was sworn in at Landmark Center, I think. But afterwards, he had put out a statement. This article is from Abdul Hakim Shabazz, and very interesting things that he did say. At the towards the end, he said there is no better economic development project than the pre-K that allows parents the opportunity to get back into the workforce and makes life more affordable for working families. Very interesting. First sentence, he said, economic development project. My first thought is there are a ton of empty schools in Indianapolis. So much that there is a legislation where a charter school could buy it for $1. Crazy, right? So my first thought is, well, let's check out the campaign reports because if you're talking about economic development, you got a whole lot of favors to repay. So we're going to go to the campaign finance report page on the IndieGov website. I think I've already showed you this before, how to do it, and we're just going to kind of schmooze around a little bit. Very first one, which is kind of my favorite, Weston Property Management. Now, this is how they do things. It's that you're going to have an umbrella corporation or some umbrella business, and then you're just going to have a little bit trickle down from there. So I decided to go look, what is Weston Property? I'm hoping I have everything ready to go. All right, so looked it up, Western Property Management LLC. Oh, it's part of the Taft Service Solutions Corporation. So I look them up, and oh, agent name is Michelle O'Brien Hubbard. Well, let's look her up. And here we go again. Michelle O'Brien Hubbard with Taft Law. Weird, huh? Taft Law also owns Weston Property Management. Weird, but not really. All right, moving on. David Flaherty gave Hogsett $5,000. Let's see. I know I got him over here. David Flaherty is with Flaherty and Collins Properties. Again, property management. I'm just going to take it off. It's slowing my laptop down so as much as I can. Beam, Longset, and Neff LLC. Again, North America's leading team of engineers, project managers, technical experts, and problem solver. You know? And how much did they give him? $1,000. Now you might think it's like $1,000? That's it? All of these things will add up. But there is one place, one group of people that really set it off for me. And they were just in the city council trying to get things approved last month. Yeah, last month and the month before. And where are you? There you are. TWG. And how much did they give them last year? $35,000. And you're probably wondering, he's like, oh boy, probably got a pretty big favor to repay, don't you think? Well, in fact, they do. Well, let's take a look. Council adopts proposal number 300 2023, which authorized the issuance of taxable economic development tax increment revenue bonds for TWG Development LLC in the maximum aggregate principal amount not to exceed $18 million. Yeah. Yeah. And this is all you really have to do. You go onto Twitter, you just type in the Indie Council because they have to approve everything and just type in TWG. Oh, look at that. Oh my God, look at all that. All since 2021. This is how it's done, everybody. I made this video last week about how the campaign finance money machine works, and this is just another example of it. Especially if you're mayor, if you're in some very powerful position, this is going to happen way more often. The governor's race is happening this year. The primary is in May, which I kind of want to talk about that a little bit because there are, I think there's like 5 or 6 people that are in it right now between Mike Braun, Doden, Brad Chambers, Curtis Hill, and Jamie Rittenhauser. And really, Jamie Rittenhauser hasn't done anything. She hasn't been to any events at all. So we'll see how that whole thing turns out because it's going to be a giant clusterfuck. And you really have to pay attention to the IEDC. Eric Doden and Brad Chambers are both IEDC people. Some person who I just saw that's running for Congress, I think. Raheel something something. Um, he was he's part of the IADC too. What's his name? Yeah, right here. 5th District Congressional Candidate Rahu Chintala. Hey, I don't know how to say it. But he was the senior advisor for India of the IADC. Again, again, handshakes and hand jobs, everybody. Handshakes and HJs. That's all you're gonna get. So moving on from that, I was thinking about this the other day. So on top of the governor's race, we also have a bunch of state representatives of Indiana that are up for grabs right now. Let's see if I can make a smooth transition to this thing. Probably not going to, but we'll see what happens. I might have to clip it. No big deal though. Did I do it? Yeah, I did do it. Sweet. All right. Voting confuses me, really. And the more I pay attention to how many people voted, who they voted for, it really does make me tighten up my tinfoil hat. And let me explain. In 2022, we had Cynthia Carrasco, aka Cindy Carrasco, go against Ryan Mears for Marion County prosecutor. Now, Cindy obviously lost, but here was the very interesting part of it. Boy, I really hope I'm not lagging. We'll see though. Cindy got 90,000 votes, right? Well, during the mayor's race, myself real quick. I'm gonna move myself. Whoop. There we go. All right. Shreve got 66. Hogsett got 97. Now, there I am. Now, if those 90,000 Cindy Carrasco voters came out, that means Hogsett would have only won by 7,000 votes. Would have been a whole lot closer, right? Right? Okay, well, here's where things get really wild. Okay, here we go. This was for the city councilor. I did 8 of them, and I did them mostly by me because I was kind of curious of how everybody did. So this is Jared Evans and Lisa Schmitz. Now, Lisa lost by what 150, 170, whatever it is. This is where the really weird part starts to happen. Shreve always got more votes than the Republican city councilor. Shreve is Republican, but Hogsett always got less than what the Democrat councilor was. On these 8 ones, I didn't really do anymore because there were like 10 or 11 uncontested seats in Indy for city council. So I just did the ones that I was really following a lot. But if we look at it, if we look at this, all right, Shreve had 2001 in Lisa's district. Lisa only had 1731. If she would have gotten the votes that Shreve got, she would have won. Like, it doesn't really make any sense to me at all how you're going to vote for Shreve, but you're not going to vote for Lisa. Like, Hogsett makes a little bit more sense because Hogsett had a pretty low approval rating, so you might not vote for him, but you'll vote for your counselor. But it's like party neutral, basically. If that does that make sense? I'm sure it makes sense. Like if you're going to vote Republican, most of the time you're just going to go down the line of whoever Republican is because that Democrat is most likely ruining your area. Doesn't make any sense at all. I even followed Julie's and Jessica's. Like look at the vote spread between the Hogsett and Shreve. And then look at the vote spread on Julie and Jessica for that district. It didn't make any sense at all. So I can I do this? Here we go. So same thing for Josh Bain. Josh Bain won his race though. Well, you see, Shreve got 2810, where Josh Bain is pretty Republican area. I mean, he still won. He beat the shit out of him, but just didn't make any sense at all. All right, let's keep going down the list a little bit. With Nick Roberts and Natalie Goodwin. Like, if they would have just been going off the numbers for Hogsett and Shreve, she would have beat the shit out of them. I mean, I really don't understand the voters that are voting for some 23-year-old kid who has no full-time job and lives with his parents, and he's basically been handed everything. Like, Democrat voters are some of the dumbest fucking people I know that you would vote for some kid who has no life experience at all. Like, doesn't even own his own car. His parents bought it for him. But anyway, so Brianne Delaney, Matt Hills. Brianne Delaney, if you don't know, her husband, she's very big time Democrat, part of Hoosier Women Forward. Her husband, I don't know his first name, but his last name's Moriarty, and he ran against Ryan Mears for prosecutor of Marion County and lost in the primary. The same thing here, like a couple hundred votes on each. It just doesn't make any sense. Krista Carlino, she went uncontested, but I mean, whoever would have went against her would have lost anyway. Like Pike Township is a winnable district or winnable yeah, district. Terry Trent and Frank Mascari, same thing. Like Terry Trent would have won off of Shreve's numbers. I mean, and if they were fighting against Hogsett, I mean, you guys kind of understand what I'm talking about. This one was a giant slobber knocker right here, but what are you gonna do? It's kind of crazy to me. I don't get it. I don't really understand like how you're gonna if you're a Republican voter, most of the times you're gonna be voting for that city councilor and the mayor. Well, for some reason, people just didn't come out to vote. And I understand like Shreve wasn't a great candidate, especially on his gun policy, and I'm not saying like, oh, would have been better than Hogsett because I really don't know. I've met Shreve a bunch of times. He's a really nice guy. I just don't know if he had the the willingness to fight and really like call people out. Like there was a lot of missed opportunities in that mayor's race that he could have done, but he didn't. And here we are. We're here with a third term with Joe Hogsett, which I know why he ran is because you're going to have Robin Shackelford, who is going to win the mayor's race, and then we would have had Lori Lightfoot 2.0 in Indianapolis, and we would have been totally screwed. The end of Indy would have been there for 2024 and just pure shitbaggery. So here's the mayor. Here's the state rep. Either Friday or this weekend, I will be putting a video out on how to run for state delegate in PC. This is not related to the state rep, but it sort of is because we have our governor's race this year, and the primaries in May. For people who don't know, if you're running for PC and state delegate, you get to choose in a lot of things for your party. So, for example, lieutenant governor, attorney general, secretary of state, the comptroller, and the treasurer. Yeah, if you get to go to a GOP convention, you get to do all that stuff. But you have to run. And most likely you are going to win and you get that kind of control, which is great, especially for the grassroots people. So, just to touch on this a little bit, if you're going to be running for state rep, which I really encourage people to do, at least to get, I mean, I don't know anybody that's running right now other than the incumbents. At least I know for my district in 97, we might be totally screwed. There's one person that's in backup right now if nobody else were running the GOP, and but we'll find out. Registration I think starts on January 10th and ends February 9th to file for candidate. Just to let you know. So if you're interested, go for it. It costs nothing to run unless you want to try and win. What I mean is, like, there have been people that have ran for office and they have spent $0 on anything. Larry Vaughn was one of those for mayor, and there's a couple of city council candidates last year, that ran, and they spent $0, which is great for paperwork. We kind of see where Indiana is going to be going right now. Fortunately, my theory is that the reason why the South is hasn't been contaminated with the cancer of Democrats is because if there's a industrial park here and nobody's like easily transitioning compared to the north side where it just smooth sailing really. You go past 96th Street and it's just easy peasy right there. Um, but we know that they're the party of handouts, and this is where when you see some of these shitty areas like Robin Shackelford's district, Robert Johnson, even mine. Renee Peck is a very weird one. I don't understand because you have Speedway in there, and these are all kind of nicer areas. So I kind of don't get it, especially like Eagle Creek. I don't know how. I don't know how she won, but we'll see what happens next year. Hopefully, people are running, and they got some good competition. So let's see, John Rust. This one's going to be very interesting. Yesterday, John Rust was on the Mouthwash show with Don Rainwater and Charles Bookwalter. John Schmitz was the host, obviously. And right now, he's got a court hearing on February 12th to find out if he can even be on the ballot right now against Jim Banks for the primary. Now, even if John Rust is on the ballot, there's a 90%, 99% chance that Jim Banks will win it. People that are kind of bitching about this whole primary rule, I don't get it. Like when I ran for office, I didn't have a problem with it, even though I wasn't supposed to be running for office. But you can get a sign off by the county chair, whichever county that you're in. You can get a sign off on them. For me, it probably would have happened if I got past the primary because they just need a Republican's office. It would be a lot harder for Bookwalter or John Rust to get in there. But here are a couple of my thoughts on that. One is the reason why they have the two primary rule is because they want to make sure that Democrats can't run as Republicans, which I get. I mean, by the way, Democrats have the same rule too. You have to have it's a two primary rule, no matter which side of the party that you're going to be on. So Democrats are getting all pissed off about this whole two primary rule. But guess what? If this thing whole goes through, where they're saying that the two primary rule is unconstitutional, Republicans need to start running as Democrats. Just pretend to be one. I sure am. I mean, if this goes through, I will run as a Democrat. I do not give a shit. I mean, fuck them. You want to play at that game? We'll do it. I don't care. I got like 20 people that will run as Democrats. We'll just primary the shit out of you. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be a very, very awesome 24. Maybe, I don't know. But either way, it's going to be chaos filled, and we just need to be ready for it. And let's see, last but not least, I know I'm kind of rushing through this thing. It's late. I'd rather just get this done. Is the Jesse Brown. 3 days of being sworn in for city councilor, and he's already losing his mind. This is what makes me want to go to the city council meeting on Monday. But let's just go through. We got his Twitter right now. We're going to scroll through a little bit. And I encourage you to go and check it out because it's filled with gold. And active people that are in office, they can't block you. The ACLU had a ruling on it with the courts that any elected official cannot block you. So if you start scrolling through here, you're just going to see a bunch of Israel stuff. You're going to see a little bit of this is very interesting. Let's just take we'll get back to that. Yeah, here we go. A whole bunch of Israel stuff, a whole bunch of this crap. We can talk about this too. I might just make that clip this out and make a separate video of it. But here's another thing. Rust winning the primary isn't the threat. Voters being engaged and having their preferences heard is the threat. That's easier to do without competitive elections to swamp at work. And what he's talking, I don't know what the hell he's talking about because the Democrats do the same thing. I can't really say anything because I don't need to get harassed again. But everybody knows. But funny thing is, he was talking a bunch of crap. And Indy Spanglish, aka Jerry Lopez, decided to talk about it as well.
Also in local news, our local socialist council member, Jesse Brown, decided to, stir the pot last night. And if you don't follow me on X, Twitter, at Indy Spanglish, you can get a front row view of this. Okay? Now, Jesse Brown was sworn in on the 1st as a council member. He identifies as a socialist, identifies as a communist, and he happened to rattle the cage of a firstborn son of Cuban refugees. That's a big mistake. I decided to go ahead and let Jesse Brown know that, if you're a socialist, if you're a communist, a BLM supporter, person on the left, you probably do identity politics, this and that. I can look at you as a white male American, and by your own standard, you are born with privilege.
I'm not going to play the whole thing, but you kind of get the whole gist of it. He's not going to survive. That's all I know. As in, like, Jesse's going to freak out. He's not going to be able to keep it together. He does not want to be challenged on whatever his ideology is or whatever he believes in. He will just lose his mind. So much so where an active city councilor is telling someone to fuck off. Now that is funny, and we're only 3 days in. This is why I had to make the video. We had a lot going on all within a couple of days, and it's only going to get a little bit more chaos filled within this month. The primaries in May. We got a governor's race. We got a presidential race. Not really following the presidential race. I'm more following of things locally. I think the governor is really the top of what I'm going to follow, but I'm more interested in the state reps, the PC, and the state delegate. I'm very passionate about trying to get people active in that and try and change things up, especially within the party. So if I do go to the city council, I will do a video on Tuesday. Yeah, I'll do a video on Tuesday, or I'll just come home, do one real quick, and that's it. I'm anticipating of it being boring though, because they're just going to be. We'll just do another quick recap. What they will do is that they'll do like acknowledgments or, hey, a pat on the back, and then the proposals will be put out, and the proposals will go to their committees. The committees will talk about the proposal, and it'll get approved or not approved, and then they'll go back to city council to get the put them in law, and they'll do acknowledgments or other handshake and hand job deal. But this is gold. So I might make another video on some of the other crap because I think some of us need to understand of where this is going to be going for Indianapolis this year and what they're going to be pushing for. So until next time.